Satnam, offering a general reading. I'll share what I've been getting over the last couple of days, and in the pieces I've been receiving them, I think that's important to share the process in the context of the messages, and because you might find something more or see something different in the pieces that I share than how I put them together. So that's part of take it as it resonates. So you know what's best for you. Take what I say lightly and explore your own intuitive insights over my words. And we'll also take a look at the tarot. I have the Housewife Tarot. We'll look at what's going on externally, dig in a little bit deeper with playing card deck and the Oracle Visions deck. Let's see what comes up with that. So over the last couple of days, I've been getting a few different messages, and really it's about taking the time to explore what you receive. And I took notes, so if you see me looking, sometimes my eyes go around because I'm thinking, but sometimes right now if I look down, it's just checking my notes to make sure I give you everything that I've received, again, so you can explore it as it resonates. So I got Fantasia, and the scene that stood out to me the most was the one where there's this web, and the song is beautiful. I should have looked up the song for you and wrote that down, but it almost, the way it kind of flows, the music flows, it's like steps, and they're awakening and they're connecting to this web, and there's dew, morning dew on the web. So is that the morning information, like that time in the morning that you spend with yourself and that you connect in, or is it the tears that, and I don't mean to be heavy, but that sense that we are all connected, that my pain is your pain is my pain, in this web, this matrix, this collective consciousness. And with that, the sense of responsibility, the word responsibility, social responsibility, seems to be coming up, and that comes in different layers. So whether it's your emotional intelligence and how are you processing something, and what are you projecting, what are you rejecting, what are you allowing, what are you taking on, what are you stewing in, and that within this web, someone feels that. They might not always be able to interpret what energies are coming at them or what that means. So discernment in psychic awareness, psychic intelligence, and your erotic intelligence. Those, like, what are you putting out, what are you receiving, and kind of navigating this playing field, so to speak, of, again, this web and this matrix. And that you have a responsibility to be mindful of what you project, what you put out. And it's between you and I, or human to human, or those of us that don't really feel that human. But it's also how you're communicating with the divine, or how the universe is responding to you. And this is why I think, like, sharing all these little pieces and tidbits I've been getting over the last couple of days are important to share, because it's like you put something out in the world, you have this idea, and the universe responds, okay, you want to try this, let me give you this opportunity, here's this door, are you going to open it, are you going to walk away? You have the key, and it's up to you what you open and step into. So again, we're responding to each other, human to human, and we're responding on this grander scale with the divine, or in this holographic universe. And that was one tidbit I wanted to give you. For some of you, this might be a reminder, or you're like, oh yeah, I totally get that. I'm playing around in the 5D. But if you want to learn more, I would recommend the book Holographic Universe. It kind of goes into this other world, just being mindful and kind of opening your eyes to the different dimensions and layers of experience beyond your own thoughts and your own emotions and your own little mini chaoses. And I mean that with a kind heart. We have our little chaoses. We get down in the dumps, or You know, we get overexcited about this and that and not always aware of how that impacts others. And on a positive note, when you shine your light, others have permission to shine theirs, that you inspire others. You don't know what that smile or that kind hug, energetically or otherwise, or a prayer does for another human being, and how beautiful that is. And it's the idea of inter-be is coming to mind. Interconnectedness, inter-be. And that comes from Thich and Nhan's book. I think it's The Heart of Understanding. A good book, but inter-be. I cannot be without you. You are not without me. There is no teacher without student, no student without teacher. There is no symphony without the instruments, without all the conductor. I don't know why I said something about symphony. I don't know that world. So please forgive me for my language. Let me check my notes. Let's see. Interconnectedness, inter-be, got that. Holographic universe. I think I said this. What are you putting out? What are you taking in? How are you processing? And really, we're being asked to level up, and begin to get comfortable in this idea of otherworldly experiences. Get comfortable not only in your own skin and your own vulnerability, but how you make an impact, how that seed of thought changes the chemistry in your body, how you process your emotions changes your physical health, or how that changes your connections, and how deeply you connect or reject with another human being. And I'm not a medical doctor, so take me lightly. Let's see. I actually think I got all this. I didn't think I was gonna get it because it's been coming in pieces. All right. And so as this came to me, I was like, Spirit, this sounds, door just opened. Spirit, this kind of sounds like a lecture. And they showed me a card. They showed me this card. So I just pulled it out of the deck. This is from Mystic Moments. And the word tiny triumphs really stood out. And it's about being in that moment that it's almost like you are at that hangman. You are at that moment in Alice in Wonderland with the Cheshire Cat, of how you perceive the moment and which direction you take, and it's your choice. And what I like about this image, well, a couple, it's a beautiful deck. Two things: the feet. Notice the red slippers. Think of Dorothy, like she was trying to find her way home. And in the process of finding her way home, she made these connections, she learned her strength, she overcome adversity, and she was a true leader. But it was always within her. It was always within her. So the ruby slippers, the red slippers here is just kind of a reminder that you have the knowledge. You have it within you. That's why I take it as it resonates. Listen to your own intuition. You know. It's just, sometimes it's about remembering, or a reminder of your own strength and your own being. Also, there's a helper here. So you have helpers, you have guides, you have spirit animals, you have ancestors, maybe human beings here on this planet you talk to, and getting grounded in your truth, and then reaching out for support. So I think that's all I'm getting from that. I also was getting beatbox. So not a cajon. But like the 5 gallon, I don't know if 5 gallon, but the bucket, like a white bucket that you would get at the hardware store. And the next I was getting is Go-Go, and the corner of in DC at a metro stop. Again, I'm giving the pieces in case you get something different than I get. When you're like, you come out of the metro stop and you're like facing toward the DC Convention Center, and to the right are the Chinatown arches, and behind you is the Verizon Center. So that's kind of where I'm seeing. And what I got from that is using your resources, but also you don't know what your impact is. Like your little tap, your little prayer, your little kind thought can make music, okay? and it can make something new out into the world. So it's like getting with the box to the go-go, and it's just, you don't know what you're creating and how beautiful that opportunity is to step into your light and just explore what's here for you, explore your gifts, explore your resources. But also the metro stop, getting that we're traveling in a new way. Like how you get there is different. How you get there is different. I was also getting this morning is batten down the hatches. I had to look it up because I was like, ooh, warning. But if you look at the root of batten down the hatches, it's not necessarily like story weather, although it could be. If we look deeper in history, it is about movement, progression, that Six of Swords energy. For those of you who read cards, it's that we're moving forward, we're progressing. It's just happening in a new way. It's happening faster. And this is why social responsibility, erotic, emotional, and psychic intelligence is so important. Let me see if I got everything. I think I got all of that. And I think I talked to, we don't get everything at once. And it's about your own discerning, that you can take one thing so many different ways. And so this is why like sitting with something is so important. And I have not always been good with this. I get like one idea and I'm like, spark, go, like leap, jump and see what happens. And you know, there's something to taking healthy risk, and there's something to just sitting and feeling it out, not necessarily jumping into the waters, but let me just sit and visualize and meditate. How does this feel? How do I receive? And what additional information you will. And I remember one reading I received, and I've kind of taken some of my like little pieces this way in my life. Is someone showed me, she's like, why do I see boxes and a dog? And I was like, oh, this means run, full force in, rather than, oh, wait, maybe this is a warning sign, or maybe, wait, I should slow things down. I didn't. I was just like, oh, green light. No, it wasn't. It was definitely a lesson. All right, so enough of my rambling. Let's see what the cards have to say. It's time. Oh, there was one other thing that came out. I didn't. There's I have like so many little scribbles here over the last couple of days. Time to let go. They reminded me of one. I'll just say it. Time to let go of the games, the victim mentality. Time to put that aside, of like, woe is me, and playing that game and that role of I'm a victim of circumstance. It's time to like, big girl panties, man up, however, I'm sorry, that's not really gender neutral. Level up, here we go. That's more gender neutral. Is like time to elevate and step in rather than sit back and be like, woe is me. It's time to let that go. Sorry, I forgot that one. So what's happening on the external is different than the internal, and you can almost think of it, I'm saying diagram right now. Maybe draw it out, write it out, draw it out, feel it out. Let's see. I got all kinds of cards fall on the floor. Okay, Nine of Pentacles. So cleaning up internally, and maybe the diagram is a way for you to put together the pieces that you see. So almost like a game board. When you like roll the dice, like the rolling of the dice is the game of chance. Let's see what the universe is going to give me. And then you take 2 steps forward. Then that piece gives you more opportunities. Do you pick up that card? Do you get your $100 for pass and go? Do I buy the hotel? Something like that, you know? But it's important to be clear on the inside, so that what you receive on the external matches that. because it will continue to be mirrored back to you. But back to the diagram, maybe you start to diagram out what you receive, or diagram out if visualizing doesn't work. I know for me, when I was learning anatomy, drawing helped me better than just like looking at flashcards or reading it. I had to process it. So maybe diagramming it out, what your world, what your white picket fence equivalent is for you. And also what I'm getting from this, based on what we've already talked about, is that sense of receptivity of what you're putting out versus what you put in. And the 9 is you're almost there to receive the gifts, and you might not realize what's coming in. It's like the fruits of the labor, the work that you've been doing now. Each step matters internally. It's this internal work that then reflects the external world that's important right now. Bottom deck energy is full. So this, you don't know, you might not know the fruits of your labor, of how it's coming through. And I'm thinking now, because she's up in the air, thinking about Mary Poppins when they're laughing. I don't know the actor and actress's name, but they're in the house and they're just like laughing, and they get lighter. And how beautiful it is that you raise your vibrations with laughter and you get lighter. And that's part of the cleaning house that gives you the fresh new start to begin again. Okay, to begin again. I'm just gonna look at these cards because there's a few of them here. Ooh. All right, let's see. Let's explore these. So 2 of Cups, partnerships, and being open to partnerships. But noticing too the Judgment card of what that looks like internally and externally. Doesn't matter. Does the scale really matter of who does what? Does the scale really matter of your own weight? Does it really matter the cellulite or the acne? No, because there's something deeper than what's on the surface. Knight of Wands might be some sort of movement energetically coming in towards you, but be mindful that you're not getting junk, that you're getting pure energy that comes towards you, or it comes back to what you put out, you will receive. 8 of Cups. Might have to let go of something to receive, like really every energy that comes at you. And it might not be, this could be your connection with the divine. This could be any type of partnership. The two of Cups is not necessarily relationship. But if you're fueled in your judgment of yourself, then feel like it's time to let go of that. But if you're fueled in that cycle, that mentality, which is partially why I think they're saying let go of the victim mentality, that game. It could also be the blame game if you're throwing that out. But really, I don't really get that, because I think if you're blaming others and throwing that blame game, there's really something you're hiding from yourself. So looking at how you're speaking to yourself, and that's really what needs to be cleaned up to receive your wish fulfillment. And that also is, letting go of the pains of the past, because those pains are an illusion. Those memories are an illusion. You're a different person now. The circumstances are different now. The opportunities are different now, but don't get caught up in that, or you will miss what's coming toward you, or not only we might miss other opportunities that are coming at you, but you might perceive, if you're still in that victim mentality, you're going to still receive that same energy back to you. And that's why it's important to address the layers of not only the internal, but your own judgments of those circumstances and how you process that pain. You can have your cake and eat it too if you want. Don't worry about tipping the scales, but have this balance. But really, it's that judgment you put in. And the 5 of Swords is last. And this is far easier said than done. Perhaps that book, Don't Run with Scissors. I haven't read it. My brother did. It's the only reason I know the title. Don't chip away at yourself. Swords are about thoughts. They're about words. Don't chip away at yourself, at others or yourself. And again, it's all cycling back to that internal work. Diagram out your thoughts. Let it be like that Freud free association. I don't know if you've ever done any work with that, where you take one word and just let your mind just go. Where does it go? You'd be surprised. It's almost like that that game where you whisper in one person's ear and then whispers to another, and then the end is different. See where you go with one thing. Sometimes there's attachments. You might learn about these attachments to the past and your critical judgment of yourself and others that way, but also how you keep connecting the dots, because really you need to change that. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm being lectured. You're saying you need to, but examining the filters that you have, examining how you process a situation or thing. Again, those judgments. The judgment card is normally about like spirit coming in. I feel like spirit coming in and rattling things up for you to learn. But I feel like in this case, it's about learning really. When we think about those scales that we create for ourselves and in our relationships and others, those judgments, what even that white picket fence is, that's an external layer that's kind of imposed on us, that then if we don't measure up, sometimes that's what creates the pain, and that's what needs to be cleaned out on the external. That was a lot more than I thought. It was being... What's that undercurrent? What's the undercurrent? All right, 3 flew out. There will be success. Emotions. So, oh my goodness, anyone knows me is gonna laugh. Discerning through your emotions. I have this habit of being like, emotions, what? Come on, we got things to do. Let's put emotions aside and keep going. And sometimes there is a time and place for that, where you set yourself aside to create space for others. Sometimes it's about setting aside your emotions because of all those filters that created that emotional response for you really needs to be examined, re-examined. And that's what's going to give you that forward movement and victory you need in this situation. Sometimes it's like I don't feel like it attitude. Well, yeah, that needs to be put aside. When it's a cup of love you want to give or you want to receive, yeah, it's time to look at those emotions. So discerning in your emotional house, when you look at the bigger picture, to me, the king looks at the bigger picture. He is a manager. And when I say he, I'm just using because the word king here, but it's more about that energy. It's that yang energy that takes action, but it takes action based on what's happening on the bigger playing field, looking at the whole board. And 8, we're back. So that's 2 of 8 of Cups coming up. So really looking at your emotional experience and what it's time, like, what do you really want? What do you really want? And what are you putting out into the world? People are responding to you. The universe is responding to you. And if you're caught up in your emotions of the past and busy rejecting and projecting based on those past experiences, you're missing something in the moment that needs your attention. And it's once you let go of that and walk away using the King of Hearts energy, that then you will have the victory and forward movement. Bottom deck energy. 4 of Hearts is sitting still, feeling it out. Not only feeling it out within yourself, but feeling it out within the matrix, that bigger picture energy, that web of who we are and your place on the planet. Well, my first time I went skydiving, and it was tandem, and to be honest, I literally held onto the plane with my arms were screaming no. But it was so beautiful, and he literally like pulled each of my hands, and then out we went, and it was the most beautiful experience because I went through like so many emotions in such a short period of time, of like, no, I'm not going to do this, to wow, I'm doing this, to wow, this is amazing, wow, this is incredible, to it's done, and there goes the shoot. But another piece of that, and the reason why I bring it up, I didn't mean to go too much on a tangent there, is that it was just amazing. I felt like nothing. And I don't mean that as in like, I'm like I don't mean anything to myself, but it was like that new perspective of not having a plane around you. And when it felt like, and if you've ever gone skydiving or done any cliff jumping, you might have better words for this. But it's like, I don't have words for it other than the perspective of who I was on the planet. Felt very insignificant, and yet the world around me felt so beautiful. It's almost like that macrocosm, microcosm moment of seeing my position on the planet so much differently. I didn't expect to talk about that. But yeah, that was just amazing. Went for a few other tandem jumps after that. And then I was like, well, you only get so many jumps in a lifetime. Maybe I should stop here. Oh, it is beautiful. Beautiful. Making a mess. Making a mess. Let's see here. Okay. So, are you juggling too much? Are you juggling too much? And some of that is these layers of the past. Okay. And it can get heavy and it can weigh you down. That's that three of swords, three of knives energy. Your emotions can feel very painful at times. I run from mine all the time. I'm like, emotions, ooh, what's that? Let me go. But really there's an opportunity, again, that comes into that discernment of where these emotions are coming from, and how am I learning and growing from the emotions versus how am I letting them take over and stalemate a situation. So taking the time, that Four of Hearts energy, to look at the pieces of yourself, parts of yourself. That's a little bit of IFS language, but it's like your inner child experiences and how that's working, using your pure intuition to lead you through this experience, to lighten up your load of the picture that you're painting for yourself. And have you painted that picture of yourself based on experiences and illusions of the past rather than the truth? And you have the bridge to transcend the past to the present. It's up to you to take the time within yourself, okay? Take that time, and spirit is on your side, but there's also saying it is time. It is time. Speaking of time, I got two more here. Listen, I was listening to a talk. I would highly recommend it, with Lewis Howes, and oh my gosh, I wish I could remember his name. I could see them, but he, I don't want to say what I think the name is because I feel like I have it wrong. But Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. That was what he feels called to speak about. And what I like, what he said in this talk with Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness, I think it's orange. So if you Google that, you'll see that. But he says, your calling will call you, pick up, like it's gonna nudge you along. You're gonna receive the messages. Be loyal. That is a dog, right? Yeah. Be loyal to yourself, your pure self, not the patterns and pieces of the past. Lighten your load, so that when you receive the call, you receive the messages, and you'll know when it's time to do you, to do what's right, to accept who you are called to be you, to grow into that skin. So Four of Hearts energy. I've made a mess of these cards. I should have laid them out nice and neat. But I'm like, ooh, done, put it down. But taking that time to discern through not only the patterns of the past, but really clearing that out so you can see clearly what's meant for you. What else is here? Roses. From start to finish, a rose is beautiful. It's amazing. The petals are soft, but it starts with a seed. It starts with thought, and it grows. It takes time. It takes time to nurture the growth, and just think about how that vine grows, but it also has to be cared for, nurtured for, the soil, the rain, excuse me, the sun, trimming, if you trim, nutrients, if I didn't say it already. But it takes the right conditions. It takes your heart work. It takes your work to see. So cycles, illuminating, and intuition. Answer the call. Answer the call. All right, last two. Let's see here. Pearls of wisdom. Pearls of wisdom is what I get from this. When you look at the pearls of wisdom in her hair, and she knows, notice she's got her teammates. There's no armor there. There's no armor, like she's covered, but it's not a sense of armor. It's a sense that they're all working together to move forward. Notice that blossom at the rose is right at her throat. Truth, your Vishuddha chakra, right? And they're all facing forward, ready to go, ready to receive, ready to step up to the challenge, answering the call. And this really has a lot of movement in it in this card, but the light, ships in the dark. And this is interesting because from after getting that batten down the hatches, that there's a ship here, but that there is movement, there is light. When I think of, it's almost like Chariot and Hermit card, they're telling me intuition right now, but following your inner guidance, working with your guides, like that's your team. I remember one time my guides told me, like, know who you are, and be confident in how your spirit team is lighting your path and your way, and trusting your progression on your path. It's like your call is coming, and that's you. This is your conversation with God, with spirit, with your guides. This is your path that's unique to you, and no one can take that from you, but also no one can lay it out for you, because this is your truth. It is your truth. It is your truth. Be mindful of the messages along the way. And this might also be why they're saying diagram, is to lay that out. I also noticed that I'm not always good about going back, but sometimes you can look at what you write down about your dreams, or I think Sam Good, I think that's your last name, Sam. He draws out the pictures of this dream, and I've done that. Like, I've done that where I've made my own dream dictionary. So you explore what each of the dream fragments, symbols mean to you specifically. Again, this is your communication with the divine. This is your conversation with to explore parts of yourself, and how you translate that, how you receive that communication is up to you. It's exploring your own intuition and putting those pieces together. But if you writing it all down, but then taking the time to go back to explore it and see if you have a new level of awareness to it, or that one piece of something that didn't make sense one day, but then, oh, I totally get that because of X, Y, and Z. And taking the time, it's interesting because they gave me Fantasia, and it took me a minute for me to like sit down with it to explore it. Let's check the bottom deck energy of this deck. Ooh, it's like the Magician card. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands, and working with the energies and what comes through. Notice it's here in the belly, so like the solar plexus, like your personal power, your free will, and working with everything that's around you and within you to grow. Beautiful. So I did have, we'll close out with a message. That was quick. That was really quick. All right, you go. Push past your resistance. Push past your resistance. Oh no. And the bottom I haven't looked at these in a while. I really, when I see that, the F-bomb just makes me laugh. This is why I use it so much. Let it go. Let it go. Time to clean up, which comes back. Again to that eight of cups energy, but also the 9. Time to clean house, emotional house, so you can receive your messages and follow your path clearly. Do hope this served well. Sending lots of love and light. Satnam.